there is a nodal point, a nodule, that you refer to as the pineal gland. This is, in many ways, accurately represented by your society, by those who have recognized that they euphemistically call it the seat of the soul. What this means is, it is the interface. It is the neurological, neurochemical interface that allows for the translation of higher vibrational information into the brain in such a manner that then physical mind has access to it and can use that information to create a physical experience. How does this work? I will tell you. Thank you. The idea is that your pineal gland creates certain neurochemical transmitters. Primarily among them are what you call dimethyltryptamine, serotonin, and melatonin. The idea is that dimethyltryptamine is the primary one. It is vibrationally keyed to receive higher frequency vibrations. When those higher frequency vibrations, in a sense, are, shall we say, directed at the brain by the higher mind, directed into the brain, the pineal gland regulates the quantity of dimethyltryptamine, what you have euphemistically called DMT in your society, which is naturally produced in the brain, and it regulates the amount of that dimethyltryptamine that is appropriate for the reception of that information and the amount that is appropriate for the focusing of the physical mind in physical reality. So let us be clear about what is happening here. The pineal gland regulates this molecule and its vibration to determine exactly how and to what degree you are or are not focused in physical or non-physical reality. It is the gatekeeper. It is the regulator. It is the tuning dial for how much you are focused in physical or how much you are focused in non-physical reality. So the first level of reception is that this substance, dimethyltryptamine, receives the vibration of the higher information. Then also, where and when necessary, translates that vibrational energy into other neurochemical transmitters such as serotonin, melatonin, and along with dimethyltryptamine, in a sense, dumps these neurotransmitters into your cerebrospinal fluid, into your bloodstream, into the cells of your brain, into the cells of your body, in such a manner as to then set up the template neurochemically and then neuroelectrically to represent the idea of that information in neurochemical, neuroelectric form. Once it has been translated by these neurotransmitting chemicals in a neuroelectric, neurochemical form, then the physical mind has access to that information. Thus then the physical mind receives that experience as the experience of inspiration, imagination, thought patterns, so on and so forth. But also, it then takes that information and applies it in whatever way, shape, or form it has already applied such information before with respect to crystallizing or solidifying patterns of that information. These crystallizations, these solidifications of patterns of information that the physical mind has received before, that it has decided are appropriate or pertinent or relevant to it, are called belief systems and definitions. So, the idea of the crystallized belief systems thus then also will affect the efficacy of your ability to download that information, because you will always pass that information after it has been translated from higher frequency energy into neurochemical, neuroelectric patterns. You will always pass that information through the crystallized belief systems within the artificial personality construct that have been set up, and those belief systems will then regulate to what degree you actually have the ability to access that higher frequency information, more or less, depending upon the nature of the belief that has been crystallized within the personality construct, within the physical mind. This is why it is so important to allow yourself clarity of belief system, clarity of how you define things in your physical reality experience. Because if you have certain kinds of belief systems that are constrictive, conditional in that sense, negative in that sense, mechanically speaking, they can limit your ability to actually perceive higher frequency energy being downloaded from your higher mind. And thus then they can make it seem as if you are incapable of receiving the guidance that is necessary for you to move through life in an effortless way, in a creative way, in a loving, joyful, exciting way. So the first stage always, because you are ensconced as physical personalities in physical reality experience, is to always get a handle on what your beliefs and definitions are about life, to make sure they are in alignment with what you prefer to believe and not contrary to it, that they are in alignment with your true natural vibration, which is really much closer to the higher frequency we're talking about, and thus then allow yourself to be capable of receiving that information in a much clearer and, shall we say, more original form. Now, the idea is that this can be enhanced in other ways as well, along with clarifying your belief systems to increase your sensitivity to higher frequency energy and thus receive those transmissions more in their natural form. Along with that, you can also, once again, do certain kinds of permission slip exercises that take advantage of the fact that you have this pineal interface in your brain. So, while working on your belief systems, not instead of, but in addition to working on your belief systems, you can also work directly with the pineal gland to allow it to produce the appropriate amount of dimethyltryptamine, serotonin, and melatonin that will be representative of the kind of neurochemical, neuroelectric transmission templates that are more clearly representative of the original transmission, so that the physical mind receives that without so much filtering. One way to do this is as you go to sleep, because the idea of DMT, melatonin, serotonin work very strongly in the nighttime hours, especially at what you call your 3 a.m. hour. You can, before you go to sleep, focus on the idea of your third eye, what you call the pineal gland, your third eye, metaphysically speaking, and allow yourself to focus on it. Allow yourself to feel the idea of that neurochemical being produced by that pineal gland, the regulator. Allow yourself to see that little nodule, or feel that little nodule, or hear that little nodule. However it works for you, relaxing and producing the appropriate amount of these neurochemical transmitters that will allow for more clarity in opening up those interdimensional windows, to allow you to perceive more purely the higher frequency energy that is being downloaded to you by your higher mind all the time. And thus then, by focusing on that and allowing it to produce the appropriate amount necessary for clarity and balance between the non-physical and physical realities that you are experiencing, you can bit by bit, either quickly or slowly, whatever is the appropriate rate for you, begin to feel more and more inspiration coming, more and more imagination working, more and more of your inner vision opening up with clarity, with brightness, with brilliance, with color. And you can begin to work more smoothly in conjunction, in a relationship with your higher mind. Remember this also about the idea of downloading. We hear often many of you asking, in a sense praying for, wishing for, asking for. Sometimes some of you will come to us or other beings or entities and say, "You have my permission to give me information." Well, yes, we know that. We are always, creation is always sending all that it can send. If you feel you are not receiving, it's not because it's not being sent. It's because you are interfering with the reception. So the idea is that if you want to receive more, become a better receiver. And you become a better receiver, a clearer receiver, by being willing to trust that that information is there to serve you, by clarifying your beliefs, by getting in touch with the idea of how those neurotransmitters are structured in your brain, and trusting the higher mind knows what it's doing as a guide.
Will letting go of the guilt allow me more access to my third eye?
Of course. Do you think that guilt is part of the idea of opening up your third eye?
No.
All right. Then open the door and understand that, again, even if you make what you typically call a mistake, you now know you don't have to feel guilty about it because you're willing to learn the lesson that helps you bring yourself back into alignment.
In reference to the third eye,
yes, the pineal gland.
Does that open when that energy, the Kundalini energy, rises?
Well, it does, but it also opens every time you drink. But the idea of accelerating that can be accelerated by raising your frequency and give you more opportunity to produce more DMT chemically, which will allow your body in its waking state to be more receptive and perceptive of higher dimensional frequencies and realms. Make sense?
Yes. Okay. I had this experience of my third eye opening,
yes,
and it really felt just like it was blinking and
yes,
very intense. And
yes.
I guess my question is, how is the way to keep that open or in touch with that the most is simply by following our joy?
Well, remember the entire formula, please. Many people on your planet love to remember, act on your passion, follow your joy, act on your bliss, and they completely and conveniently, shall we say, trash the rest of the formula.
Okay.
Remember the whole formula. Act on your highest passion to the best of your ability, taking it as far as you possibly can until you can take it no further, and with absolutely no assumption, insistence, or expectation as to what the outcome ought to be. That's the whole formula. Make sense?
Yeah.
Then it will work for you.